breaker right on the outside.
Yeah.
So I went down to get in that.
Well, good morning, Richland County. It is 9:30 a.m. Richland County Board of Commissioners is now in session. I'm Commissioner Cliff Mears, joined by Commissioner Darrell Banks and our clerk, Stacy Crawl. We have a number of dignitaries in the audience, so why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves?
All right, I'll go first. Dr. Julie Chaya, Health Commissioner at Richland Public Health.
Kaylin Nelson, Administrative Coordinator at Richland Public Health.
And Strangs.
Jeff Strang, former teacher.
Dorinda Strang, Business Office Manager.
Okay, we have Hayden Gray with Richland Source, Greg Kale from WMFD, and anybody else online?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, our first order of business is to approve a second resolution to renew the levy. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Doctor.
Okay, so again, we're here to present on our 0.9 mil levy. We have two different levies for Richland Public Health. One is 0.5 mil and one is 0.9 mil. The 0.5 was renewed back in 2023, and that's on a 10-year cycle. And the 0.9 mil is also on a 10-year cycle. And we're hoping to renew that levy here in November of 2025. Given the state of federal and state funding opportunities, those are starting to become fewer and far between. So having the opportunity to have the local community support their local health department is very important right now, so that we can ensure the highest quality public health services in the area, but also try and offer the lowest fees when it comes to permits or licensing or anything like that. Just similar to the county commissioners keeping taxes low, we have some of the lowest fees in the state to make sure that we are driving in developers and businesses and families that can afford to live a very rich life here in Richland County, Ohio.
Life in Richland County.
That's right.
And we did meet last Thursday, a week ago today. We went over in the financials in a little more detail. So
That's correct. Kevin's not here today. He just had oral surgery yesterday, so he's not able to open his mouth for once, which is a true treat.
we can take advantage of that, right?
Need to know a little bit more about that for some of our people.
We'll save that for another episode.
So to be clear, this is just a second on the one that we did last Thursday,
Correct. This is just the second resolution.
just the one.
The required second one to actually put it on the ballot.
Yeah. So I will make a motion that we approve the resolution and get this on the ballot. Appreciate all the things you do out there. And it's done with a much larger smile than it has been done in the past.
I will second that motion.
Commissioner Mears,
Yes.
Commissioner Banks.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you do. You do an amazing job, and particularly the outreach that you folks do. You're just everywhere.
We sure are. And I really want you guys to pay attention over the next couple of days. I'm going to have some very important announcements coming up. And after the meeting, I want to invite you to an upcoming event that we have. So stay tuned for more here shortly.
Certainly will.
Okay.
Okay. Hayden, did you have any questions?
Well, I know you said Kevin Home, I'm assuming most of the financials isn't here, but do you have an estimate about how much this generates for the for Richland Public Health?
Stacy, did you have the exact number?
It's the estimate for for this renewal is going to be $2,077,881.
That annual,
Yes.
you know what it costs the average taxpayer per year?
That's all going to depend
Your
on,
valuation.
yeah. Not much.
No.
9 is like nothing. Yes, very good invest.
And
there's a federal spending bill that was recently passed. Can you kind of talk about what that breakdown is as far as your funding between state and the local?
In regards to the big beautiful bill or just any federal spending in general?
Any federal and state income that you come in compared to what the local shares?
Sure. So the majority of federal dollars that we receive on an annual basis will typically come from the CDC. The CDC has been downsized significantly, but that's with the anticipation of standing up the new AHA organization at the federal level. So it could be that we have a lapse in CDC dollars for quite some time. But who knows, they may resurrect in the new AHA organization, or those monies get reallocated to other federal programs and whatnot. So if for whatever reason Richland Public Health receives little to no federal funding, as long as we have a local levy that's helping to support us, I will do everything possible to make sure that we have other sources of revenue, whether that comes from private donors or other opportunities from our area or other organizations, to make sure that we have just as many programs and public health opportunities throughout Richland County.
Good. Okay,
Sounds good.
both very much.
Yes, thank you.
Good to see you.
Always good to see you guys too. We'll hang out a little bit because we need to talk with you guys later and Stacy. So
Okay,
you guys are up.
Right now, I'll continue on with the agenda. It's not lengthy, so if you can hang on for a while. First thing I'd like to is to certify the record of proceedings for July 29th, 2025.
so move.
Seconded.
Mr. Mears?
Yes.
Yes,
Can I have a motion to approve requisitions?
yes. I make that motion.
Seconded.
Commissioner Mears?
Yes.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes,
I have a motion to approve month-end appropriations and transfers.
yes, I make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Mears?
Yes.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes,
Next, we have a quote from Castran Carpets to replace some worn carpet in the auto title building. I had a talk with Denise Rule yesterday and understand it's pretty worn out. There are a lot of seams that are frayed. Can I have a motion to approve that? For $15,356.65
so move.
and seconded.
Commissioner Mears?
Yes.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes,
Next, could I have a motion to accept the resignation of a Dayspring employee? Who had been here, I think, 4 years,
I think so.
and she was grateful for the opportunity. Could I have a motion to accept her resignation? Seconded?
Commissioner Mears?
Yes.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes,
I have a motion to terminate a probationary employee who it appears worked one shift and then disappeared.
yes,
Seconded.
Commissioner Mears?
Yes.
Commissioner Banks?
And I have an addition to the published agenda. We have discussed and approved building department to advertise for part-time temporary clerk in the building codes department because we had a medical leave. And we also had a retirement. So this would be somebody to temporarily help tide us over until the person from medical leave would hopefully be back. This person would begin August 14th for 180 days. Again, it is a temporary part-time. It'll be 29 hours a week at a rate of $15.74. And again, that is building codes. Can I have a motion
yes,
for
I'll
that?
make the motion to hire this person
Okay.
as stated.
And second.
Commissioner Mears?
Yes.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes,
First of all, for the press, is there anything, Greg, any questions you have? Aiden? Okay. I'll turn it over to the Strangs. What would you, why don't you come out front here and
I didn't bring my posse this time. About 50 people. Jeff Strang, 703 Woodcrest Drive, Mansfield. I did want to introduce my wife, and I'm glad you guys are speaking today. She managed women's clinic and Mansfield Pediatrics for over 40 years. So two of the largest medical practices in this area. So I think time you speak about health, her ears are up. And she's my ears because I don't hear her.
I was gonna say we need more people like you in the community. Thank you.
I visited the Mifflin Township meeting the other night and it went well. They're my guys. I always vote for their stuff. I'm always bragging about the township and the meeting was very cordial. However, when I asked them about renewable energy, I asked them, I said, was there a meeting that I missed? No meeting. Was there a vote? No vote they could recall. Was there an opportunity for input? No input. So I said, then why did you vote no? And the only response I got, not from the trustees, they didn't say anything, was one lady that was on the board said that I just don't want to see windmills out my window. So what I thought was that might be the response of the 11 townships that decided now we're not going to vote. Now, I offered them an educational component and they're going to get back with me supposedly. An educational component would be following what these counties have done. Medina, Franklin, Adams, Clark, Trumbull, Morrill, Knox, Preble, and Cuyahoga. Before making a decision whether they want alternative energy or not, those people have decided to have an educational component where people could come in and listen to experts. The last time I was here, I didn't talk anything about the advantages of solar. I talked about opportunities. And I'm sorry, Mr. Commissioner Rivera is not here today because I wanted to talk about hearsay. Hearsay is the biggest objection in court. So for me or any one of us to comment on solar, we're not an expert. You know, we heard it from a guy, we heard it from a guy, we heard it from a guy. So what's happened is that these 9 counties have turned to colleges or university or community colleges to help them have a public forum of discussion before they come up with a vote. These are the universities that were used. Ohio State Extension, Ashland, North Central, Ohio University, Denison, Dayton, Kent State, Ohio Wesleyan, Lorraine Community, Owens Tech out of Toledo, familiar with that? Franklin and Sinclair. Since you're in the mood of accepting proposals or motions, what I want to do is to ask you to reconsider the vote or to put a recess on that, what you voted as far as supporting the townships. Because I have a real strong feeling that was a knee-jerk reaction that they had. At least that's the way it was at Mifflin. And I don't want to downplay that. They didn't discuss it. They didn't vote it. They didn't even ask for input. Now, the other thing I have been looking at, and remember the last time I was here, I said my middle name is I don't know, but I'll find out. I have read what came from the state legislature to ask for you guys to, to inquire to the township trustees, do they want alternative energy or not? And it reads, you may, but it does not say may not. And most legal terms say may or may not. And okay, so what's the deal? Look, I coached a lot of sports and I used a sports psychologist several times to help us say the proper terminology to get the response that you want. For example, coach basketball for over 20 years. End of the game. Don't foul, don't foul, don't foul. And what do? They foul. You may, you may, you may. So I'm thinking as a possibility, but I'm not an expert and it's hearsay. I'm thinking that the people who wrote this generated the response that they exactly wanted. You may, and then you did, and then they gave a knee-jerk reaction without any type of input at all. Now, there's currently a lot of hot spots in the area, okay? When I went to the Mifflin Township trustees the other day, I mentioned that, were you aware that there's a labor dispute, right? It's a labor dispute as far as the union not getting the jobs that they thought they were going to get to insulate solar panels. And that was Current News, WMFD, right? Were they aware of the problems that they're having at Knox County, which they are? Were they aware of the petition that's circulating in Richland County? They weren't, probably not too many people are right now, to be honest with you. And then I also said, look, I'm not here to persuade you one way or the other. I'm about the educational component. I said, are you aware that on these turbines, they have a life expectancy of only 20 years? And when they take the turbine down, they don't know how to recycle them. And they're kind of piling up. So, I'm giving them information to help themselves. And so what I'm asking is that I truly believe that we need an educational component to this. I don't think you just say, hey, what do you think? Because when you ask them, hey, what do you think? There wasn't even a formal vote. It was a knee-jerk reaction. Now,
I'm
you
correct.
run, go ahead.
They did have a formal vote because we had the resolution.
Good. And did you bring in an expert?
That, they voted on
Yeah,
that.
but did they bring in an expert?
I have no idea.
Did you inquire when you asked them how they voted?
Well, we trusted them to come up
You
with,
trusted them.
because they were elected officials. We have a trust in elected officials.
Okay,
We've been working on this since 2021
exactly. I read that.
and I don't remember whether we sent out the information. We had informal talks, but there was no educational thing. But as an elected official, it's their duty to get educated.
Okay. I understand that. And, and I can see how we got ourselves into this situation. And I say ourselves. Would you consider an educational component as using, maybe, I know Ashland's done this directly and Ohio State Extension, to have public meetings and really encourage your trustees to come and listen to both sides rather than having a knee-jerk reaction? Would you consider that?
First of all, we have no control over the township trustees.
Right, but you could encourage them.
We could encourage,
Okay, you don't have any control. You just asked them for a vote and they came back with a vote.
it's not control.
Okay, we'll just move on. Would you consider an educational component?
Well, I think that's a question that should be sent to the trustees.
I went to the trustees and I asked them that and they're considering it. And as I drove home, I said, why? Because I did talk to I talked to a Firelands trustee of Power. And I asked him, tell me what you know. Same when Brian was here from the electrical workers. Tell me what you know, because I don't know a lot. They both said the same thing. They both need diversified energy. They both need to go in that direction because, well, what happened was, it's like buying an electric car. They're expensive. And originally the government was giving subsidies to make solar energy equal to gas. Since the new administration in Washington's in, they've pulled those subsidies. Now it's more expensive. Midterms could bring it right back. One of the things that you asked me, Cliff, the other day when I was talking about politics and so forth, and you said politics at the national level is different than politics at the local level. This is climate change. There's climate change denial at the national level. The EPA is pulling back. And now it's right in our backyard. This is no difference here. Have you ever seen the movie or Broadway play, Good Night, Good Luck? CNN had it live broad. Anybody see that? I showed it in my class. And it's about Edward R. Murrow. And they were talking about McCarthyism. Joe, you're familiar with that, McCarthyism and so forth. And they were didn't know how to deal with Joseph McCarthy. And Edward R. Murrow wanted to do a show based upon an auto worker who was with the union in Detroit. And the government was saying, since he was a strong union member, he must be communist. Well, they couldn't prove it, but they were able to prove that his parents got a subscription of a newspaper called The Daily Worker. And they were going to go after the parents to get to him. Okay. And Edward R. Murrow said, this is McCarthy. This is not being informed. This is in our backyard. Well, they couldn't do it. Okay, because there's something in the Constitution called corruption of blood. You can't, like if your brother didn't pay his taxes, it's not your fault. England it was. You know what I mean? So the reason I brought up the good night, good luck is because it's a national issue, but it's here right now. And I'm wondering why the language asking you to do it didn't say may not. Now, look, I taught law for over 20 years at St. Peter's that your son was involved in. And I've seen our witness statements. May not. But may generates, you probably should, or you could, because that's the last word you heard. And then you ask for a knee-jerk reaction without any input other than hearsay. I wouldn't dare to comment on anything about, boy, you got to go solar. It's going to do all this, going to do. Yeah, that's hearsay. You know what I mean? I'm not an expert. I'm asking for an educational component like these other 9 counties have done, working with universities this school year. It may not change anybody's ideas. And I guarantee it's not going to do it. Not going to change the trustee, the lady working at the trustee's office. Probably not going to change yours either. That's fine. But that's our due diligence. That's what we should be doing.
My understanding is that there's a group, I'm not going to assume you belong to it, but are putting this on the ballot.
I am part of that group.
Okay.
And you know,
And so
Yeah.
have your meetings, educate the people, and it goes right down to the people, what the people want.
but here's the
Going to do what the people.
here's the problem with those signatures. They got 30 days to come up with roughly 3,500 signatures. You need 30 days. You need to come up with 5,000 to get 3,500, right? Because a lot of those are going to get tossed for one reason or the other. The window is so narrow. The leadership of an educational component in Richland County comes from you guys. You're over the trustees. You are the ones that look out for us.
Do you think in the next few years, there will be subsidies
Yes,
for solar power?
yes. More, they'll be back, even at the midterms, or it'll be down the road.
Well, I've read about, I have done.
Read about it.
And the amount of investment and what you get, they're inefficient, some of these things, and hopefully they'll be better in the future. But we voted on it. We've done what as far as I'm concerned, you're taking it to the people, so the people will choose.
You should be taking it to the people with your educational component.
Well, our thought process was, let's bring it down to the more local level instead of the entire county. Let the more local communities, the townships decide, because,
Because each township is different.
right, it's closer to home. It's closer to their own community. That's where the trust was. We felt it was that the closer we could get to the people themselves, not countywide, but township wide, would be a wiser course of action. And that's what we did.
And look, I want to say this. Go ahead.
I'm Dorinda Strang, Woodcrest Drive, Mansfield, Ohio. Cliff, I appreciate what you're saying and what you did, but I think what happened was by sending it to the townships, you get all different levels of participation. The township trustees that were here the other day said hardly anybody ever goes to their meetings. I went onto our website for Mifflin Township. They have a Google website. It's really inadequate for announcing to their residents what's going on in the township. So I think what's happened is by delegating it to the townships, they didn't talk to their residents. They didn't go out and see what their constituents thought about solar. But not only that, is they didn't educate themselves, and we're just educating ourselves. And I think what Jeff is saying is we're looking to the county commissioners to educate our whole county. We closed the door in 11 out of 18 counties. It's Tony got real upset last week when one gentleman called this a black hole. But I drove home after the vote thinking that's a nail in the coffin. We aren't open for business. And it's not that every individual case should be considered. and may not even be approved. Maybe they wouldn't be able to do it. But acreage can go into more than one township. And why should we take away property rights of landowners who may want to participate in solar energy? I don't understand the big picture, the looking forward picture. I don't think that was done properly. And we have a chance to change that, maybe with our coalition, if we can get it on the ballot. But you have a chance to change that as leaders of Richland County.
But any decision we make, I respectfully disagree. I'm saying that what is right for Sharon Township may not be right for Washington Township.
Exactly.
And to give a countywide dictate, I think does a disservice to the townships themselves.
Exactly. When I drove home from Mifflin, I thought, well, I could bring in my Firelands trustee that I talked to. I can bring in Brian, who knew a lot about this. But I thought, why go around 18 townships when it can be done right here? Right with you. The other thing I mentioned to the
We're being right here.
With you guys.
Respect, yes, it's not a one size fits all.
I know that.
It doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be.
Every
Exactly.
project would-
But if we say every township should be able to do, should be able to welcome town.
Or not.
Or not, well, that's what we have now. They've chosen yes or no. And that's what this process allowed.
I'm going to respectfully mention that I don't think that they really opened it up or talked to
Well,
experts.
then I think that's on them.
I went down to Knox County to several meetings they had down there and listened to what the people had to say.
Right.
And I think what we did, letting every township make up their mind, that was fair. I think it,
You know, a couple of things I mentioned, and I wanted to go on a little bit here, is the fact that we were talking about property rights. And it wasn't that long ago, the residents in Mifflin Township, particularly around the St. Mary's community, they didn't exactly like Top Hat and Fantasyland. Remember that? But yet, when they went to their township trustees about having these juice bars or gentlemen's club, the trustees and the commissioner says, we have to respect the property rights of the person who owns it. So on one hand, I can have that juice bar, and I'm speaking of hearsay, never been in one. Okay, okay.
I don't
But
know. Do you believe? I believe it.
we've been married.
that's the most important person to believe.
You know, I introduced her and we've been married 50 years. That's my crutch. Okay, secondhand here. The other thing I wanted to mention, so property rights. The other thing I wanted to mention is that there's another hot spot right now in Madison County, next to Columbus. Bill Gates, with his money and company, is constructing the largest solar ground, not turbines, but solar in the country. You know, I'm just saying it's out there. I think the only way we can approach this is an educational component at the top, and to say it belongs to those town trustees guys, I love them. But man, they're working hard doing culverts. They're working hard doing potholes. They're working hard just doing, that midnight phone call that they get. I believe it's your responsibility to throw it out there, and every township then can digest the material and decide for themselves. The thing about a petition, there's a 30-day window to get 5,000 signatures and hopefully 3,500 a ballot. That's really not a strong option. So
Okay.
do I get a motion to approve, to rescind, or at least put a stay, or at least do an educational component with you guys? And I'd be glad to help, to secure some of these universities. Not to do that, I don't think is responsible.
No, I don't think we want to do that.
No.
Oh, why not do education? I got it.
Oh,
Well, if we,
What are you doing? Not worry.
I have done some,
Explain it to me.
okay, do you believe that these companies putting in solar power in 20, 30 years
Right.
will come back? They say they're gonna restore it. I don't believe they'll do that. They'll be out of business. There'll be things going on. And last time you were here, I think you're the mentioned that we got to think ahead. We got to plan. ahead.
Absolutely.
I'm planning ahead.
For failure.
No, I want to be able to eat. And
And don't-
taking up our farm ground.
Got it. Say no to it.
Well, can
I understand your passion. But what gives you the privilege is the guy down the street around the corner. You just said he said no too. You can't even talk about it. He can do top hat, but he can't do a solar panel.
The biggest problem I had with this is property rights.
That's right.
I also thought about the person that went out and built a $3,000 or $300,000 home, and then he gets surrounded by solar power. I think I'm looking for his property rights too. But the bottom line is, we follow the law. And as far as I'm concerned, we've made a decision. That's the way I feel.
I'm saying, where's the leadership and where's the educational component? And that's part of your job.
And that's at the local level. We put that at the local level. I mean, you can make the same argument and say, well, maybe we should have a statewide decision. Well, I don't agree with that because
I don't either.
what fits Cincinnati isn't going to fit Toledo. So bringing it down to the more local level, I think will always
And Cliff,
the best
we agree
result.
on this.
Pardon me?
We agree on this.
Okay.
You have the educational component.
So maybe go.
Township goes back. I can't traipse 18 experts or an expert on 18 different townships meetings when they are consumed with culverts. And you get the program, then 18 townships decide on their own. We agree.
Okay. Well, then we'll have to agree, I think, to disagree in this.
Daryl, one of the things that we're learning, and again, we're kind of in the infancy of learning about all of this. We really weren't focused on clean energy. I understand that there's a bond that's put up front before any project can be approved that will take care of removal and restoration of the land after the project has been completed, after it's lived out its life. Are you under the understanding that that is also true?
Yes, I am,
Okay,
but they're gonna go in. They say they're not gonna take the topsoil off. I'm not saying that the people that come to Richland County wouldn't do that, but other places are telling me, near Springfield, they're telling me they scraped off the topsoil and sold it to nurseries. And so you'll never get that land back. Plus, you're compacting that ground so much, it's never going to be farmland again.
I understood that the topsoil in the example that I was looking at had to be set off to the side and left alone.
My understanding is that is exactly what they're supposed to do.
Okay, but that wasn't done in that particular case. So, you know, we're all learning, I think, to close the door and to ban or restrict the large solar fields and the wind farms just seems like we're not looking forward to the future and that we aren't learning quick enough to properly inform our residents. I kind of understand what Jeff's saying. We look to the county commissioners as leaders. Our township trustees are leaders on a different level. It's not, I don't think they have the resources. I don't think they have the news outlets. I don't think that they have the communication allowances to actually get the word out. I don't know. I appreciate your consideration today, and I hope you'll reconsider and think more about this. And hopefully we'll be able to come to a better resolution for Richland County.
I can make one.
I agree with you, Cliff, that it's not what's good for one isn't necessarily good for all, but that's why projects can be individually vetted. That's not saying that we would on a project would be allowed or not allowed. They have to be individually vetted. When you close the door, those companies that are looking for clean energy going forward, they're going to go somewhere else.
I think we're making the assumption here that the uninformed communities are those that voted to restrict it. What if we educate all the communities with all the information and those that voted to leave it open for development,
Mhm.
suddenly decide, oh, wait a minute, I didn't know A, B, and C.
That's
I
fine.
now want to restrict it. So it could, if the educational component is extended, as you're suggesting, it could be there are more restrictions and more townships.
Exactly,
Expect.
exactly.
So it may not work the way you're thinking it will.
I'm working for an educational component. Now,
But you're assuming those that have voted to restrict it are uninformed. Maybe they are.
I'm on it.
You voted, you referenced one township. What about the others? The others may be fully informed. Maybe they had full meetings.
Okay, let me ask you
It
this.
would be good to know that. It
Yeah.
would be good to know
Could you
that.
find out for us?
And maybe, I mean, I guess maybe that is something that could be, you could gather more information about. And maybe there would be more restrictions, but I kind of have a feeling that this was made by just decision was made by a handful of people. And it didn't go out to the residents, and it didn't go out to the constituents, and it didn't go out to the voters. And I'm hoping there's enough people that are forward-looking that would, after education, understand whether this would be good or not for our county.
And I'm willing to
Anyhow.
accept those results. If all the county came back and said, we don't want to do it, I don't have to agree with it. I'm still gonna live here, but I accept it. You know, the other thing I wanted to say, I really like what you do. You work hard, I understand. This is just one thorn in all those years I've been in Richland County. I told the township trustees, and I'll tell you, I don't want your job. There's no way. Okay, I'm on a 10-year plan. I want to spend it with my grandchildren. And I really, Cliff, I like what you guys do. Voted for it, okay? But the bottom line is, let's just do it. And if it goes one way or the other, then it happens. My wife just cut me off.
He's too repetitive. Thank you.
Right. You're welcome. Thank you. I'd like to have a chat offline with you folks if I may, so stick around. Is there any other business to be conducted today? Okay, hearing that at 10:07 on the last day of July, the Board of Commissioners stands adjourned.